Coming up tonight on VCU InSight.
VCU Medical Center is preparing for potential worst-case scenarios during this year's UCI World Championship.
Dominion Virginia Power wants to build towers along the James River to avoid blackouts.
And the Presbyterian Church changes its long-standing view on same-sex marriage.
All this and more.
VCU InSight starts right now.
From the Richard T. Robertson School of Media and Culture at Virginia Commonwealth University, named Best Student Newscast in the Mid-Atlantic, this is VCU InSight.
Good evening and welcome to VCU InSight. I'm Sabrina Fuller.
And I'm Amaya Ray. Thanks for joining us. Topping the news tonight, for the first time in over 30 years, the UCI World Cycling Championship is back on American soil. It's right here in Richmond this September, and the event organizers preparing for potential worst-case scenarios. InSight's Mark Hardison joins us with more information on the preparations being made for an event of this magnitude. Good evening, Mark.
Good evening, Amaya. The race will run right here through downtown Richmond, and part of that race will run through VCU's Monroe Park campus. VCU Medical Center is the emergency responder for the race, and they say safety is their top priority. Organizers from Emergency Management at VCU Medical Center in Richmond 2015, the local group who organized the race, are working on an emergency plan for this year's UCI World Cycling Championship. VCU Medical Center's Robin Mankey says it's important for emergency responders to be ready for all possibilities, even the unthinkable.
Should a bad event such as a mass casualty incident occur, we've also started to train and to do those items that would help us be able to respond should that occur.
We all remember the chaos in 2013 after 2 bombs exploded during the Boston Marathon. In order to prepare for the event in Richmond, organizers spoke with an emergency responder from Boston about how they handled that situation. While organizers say they don't expect any problems at this year's championships, Richmond 2015's Paul Shanks says plans are still underway to make sure that Richmond is able to handle any emergency.
At this point, we have no reason to think that Richmond 2015 would be targeted. However, due diligence requires that we protect first and foremost the safety of our citizens and of the cyclists and of our visitors coming from overseas.
Those cyclists will number more than 1,500. And with hundreds of thousands of visitors expected, Shanks says the race is drawing the attention of top government officials.
So the Department of Homeland Security, like all the other agencies involved, is interested in making sure that this event is safe and secure and enjoyable for everybody. They play a consulting role with the planners and the organizers of the event.
Now, organizers will finish planning for the event within the next few weeks, and an emergency plan will be released once it has been finished and finalized. Back to you, Amaya.
Thank you, Mark.
The Richmond School Board recently approved a proposal for a new one-of-a-kind school in Richmond. But will that be enough to help Richmond's rising school dropout rate? InSight's Ben Billmeyer has more on the story.
The buses are pulled in and the kids are lined up. It's time for another day at school. At least, that's a normal day for some of Richmond's children. The Virginia Department of Education says school dropout rates continue to be a problem for the city and its public schools. But according to one man, there's a solution.
It was a major victory.
Jimmy King is one of the co-founders of the Richmond Urban Collective. The Richmond Public School Board recently approved its pitch for an all-male charter school starting next year, the first in Virginia history. He says that it could help keep more Richmond boys off the streets and in the classroom.
So we're educating boys in a concentrated way, and we're giving families here in Richmond an option to education.
It's an option that could help bring down Virginia's staggering rates. According to the 2014 Department of Education school report card, Richmond City Public Schools has a dropout rate of just over 15% for boys.
While King says that the new charter school can help with Richmond's dropout rates, one member from Richmond's Public School Board says otherwise.
Kim Gray is the 2nd district representative for the Richmond Public School Board. She was also one of 2 members who voted against bringing Metro Prep to Richmond. She says she believes in the concept, not the design.
I think single gender education works. I don't believe that it should be isolated to one gender over another.
One thing King and Gray can both agree on is that Richmond needs to find the balance that betters all of the city's students. For VCU InSight, I'm Ben Billmeyer.
King says the Metropolitan Preparatory Academy is actively looking for a location, but says that should be resolved by the end of the year. Cheers rang out in the Altria Theater last weekend, but the reason may not be what you think. This year, VCU hosted the College Union Poetry Slam Invitational. More than 1,000 people showed up to listen as student poets shared personal stories. 68 teams competed this year, but only 4 made it to the final round: VCU, Simmons College, Eastern Michigan University, and New York University. NYU took home first place, while VCU came in a close second.
A local artist is making waves with her music. The VCU grad is topping charts on the local music scene. InSight's Teresa Galasso is in the studio to tell us more.
I'm here with Analisa Grant, a local musician and artist. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
So Analisa, you've been singing for quite a while now. You said since as long as you can remember.
Yeah, just about.
What got you into singing?
I think at first just being, an elementary school choir and in choir with my churches, and then I actually used to be a dancer. I did ballet and got a pretty serious injury where I had to stop doing ballet, and that got me more into singing actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
We have some video of you singing. You've got some music videos out right now, and 2 of them, so we're just going to take a listen here.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that was the video I did with the Horn RVA. They're another VCU publication, yeah.
And that was Come By? That was your song, Come By?
No, this is the song Eternal Home.
Eternal Home, okay.
Yeah, so that's actually in an alley in the fan.
Yeah, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you kind of use your surroundings when you go out for videos?
That I actually shot in the same alley that I shot the cover art for my first EP.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's great. So you graduated VCU with a bachelor's in psychology and a minor in music.
Yeah.
Did you plan on doing that, or?
Well, I actually started out as a vocal performance major studying classical music here, and then I switched to psychology and then decided to double major. It was a journey for sure at VCU. And then about halfway through my senior year, I realized I would have had to do another year of school just to finish up the music theory. And so at that point I was like, you know what, I'm really ready to graduate. And so I decided to end up doing psychology and minored in music.
Yeah, well, it seems to be working out for you.
So far.
You've got some songs on SoundCloud right now, and I believe you put them out in December, and already they have over 6,000 hits.
Yeah, I didn't really expect that much of a response so quickly. So it's been really exciting the last few months.
Yeah. How many songs do you have on there right now?
9 total from the first 2 EPs I've put out. Yeah.
And what's your inspiration for them? Do you write all of them by yourself?
Yeah, I've written all the lyrics except for each of the EPs includes 1 cover, so obviously I didn't write those. I've got to say, listening especially to the second one, it's a lot inspired, by my relationships and, heartbreak and growing up and all of those kinds of ideas.
Right. Do you have anybody that you look up to in the music field? Anybody from VCU or famous, or that you just?
Oh, definitely, yeah. Music has been part of, the main source of inspiration, I think, my entire life. Anytime that I'm having a bad day or just looking to feel better, like music is the thing that I know I can rely on to help me. Specifically, and I think, my influencers always change a lot, but specifically right now, I really love Kanye West. There's this Belgian rapper, Stromae, and then, of course, the greats, Aretha Franklin, Eva Cassidy, there's a lot of different sources of inspiration I draw from.
Right. Excuse me. And real quick, where do you see yourself going? What's your goal?
My ultimate goal is really just to be able to perform, often as I would like. That's what really drives me doing music, is I love being on stage, I love entertaining, and so I would be happy if I can just be doing shows, every week.
I've been speaking with Analisa Grant, a local musician and artist. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you again for having me.
Many people rely on public transportation every day, and with them in mind, a new payment option is on its way. The GRTC transit system has come up with a new way to make the everyday commute a lot easier. Fare boxes will be installed, giving riders an electronic payment options. Instead of paying the good old $1.50 every time you ride the bus, commuters will have the option to purchase unlimited, daily, weekly, or monthly passes with smart cards or using the GRTC mobile app. GRTC officials say the estimated cost for these fare boxes is $2.9 million, and 10 buses have the system already. The boxes will be installed by the end of April.
Dominion Virginia Power has put a plan together to build massive towers right next to the James River and Hampton Roads. Some organizations are so upset over the proposed plan, it has now become a legal case. InSight's Evan Ratner is in the newsroom with more. Good evening, Evan.
Good evening, Sabrina. They're as tall as the Statue of Liberty. There'd be 17 of them stringing power lines across the James River near historic Jamestown. Two environmental groups and the James City County officials asked the Virginia Supreme Court to step in and stop it.
Jamestown, Williamsburg, Yorktown, Virginia's historic triangle. History buffs and environmentalists say it tells us where America came from.
So we think that this is just a brilliant place that needs to be protected.
Riverkeeper Jamie Brunkow is a part of the Down to the Wire coalition, 8 groups that came together to fight the towers. Their online petition has more than 18,000 signatures. He says these towers will have negative effects on wildlife along with affecting historical resources.
Carter's Grove, which is a colonial era plantation right near where the power line will hit the land.
These 295-foot towers are set to be built in Surry County, with 8 miles of power lines crossing the river at Skiffs Creek. While Brunkow says the lines will disturb historical areas, Dominion Virginia Power's David Botkins says that no one will hardly notice.
Far out in the waterway and in the viewshed area that it's barely visible.
I'm on a boat in the middle of the James River. I'm a couple miles down from historical Jamestown, but if you look behind me, you can see the construction site where these huge towers are going to be built.
Towers that Botkins says need to go up on Dominion's schedule, or the area could eventually face rolling blackouts.
At the end of the day, Dominion has a responsibility to keep the lights on for everybody.
The coalition has urged Dominion to put the power lines under the James instead of towering over it. But Brunkow says Dominion wasn't interested.
Dominion's got a lot of smart engineers that I'm sure can come up with some better ways to do this that won't harm this really historic and beautiful resource.
Dominion Virginia Power has already staged equipment in that area preparing for construction. Even though the Virginia Supreme Court's ruling has already been delayed several times, they're expecting a verdict sometime this month. Back to you, Sabrina.
Thank you, Evan.
A historic change to one of the largest Protestant denominations in the U.S. The Presbyterian Church USA has redefined marriage to now include same-sex couples. While some are thrilled, it's also creating some controversy. InSight's Jade Wong has more on the story.
Jeff Wells has been a member of the Presbyterian Church for more than 30 years, and until recent changes made to the doctrine, he wasn't always open about his sexuality.
To hear folks who are not supportive of that effort, I did find that hurtful, and I did abandon the church for a little while during that time period.
Wells eventually returned to the church and looked to 1 Corinthians, which begins with, "Love is patient, love is kind," for his comfort and refuge.
What currently says that marriages between a man and a woman will soon be changed to between two people, traditionally a man and a woman.
Pastor of Second Presbyterian Church, Alec Evans, says this new language has sparked very different opinions throughout the community.
I know my own views about this have changed significantly. I mean, across my 25 years as a pastor, I really, in the early days, didn't think about this.
Wells never thought about the church's marriage standards either. He reflects on his own personal beliefs.
I know God created me this way, and I know that I can serve in any capacity in the church.
And he does serve. Wells actively participates in the church choir. For VCU InSight, I'm Jade Wong.
There are other Presbyterian churches that still need to conduct voting, but so far the majority have approved the amendment.
The Virginia High School League is preparing to hold its first ever student film festival. Preparations are underway for the festival that begins in May. InSight's Jacqueline Causey is in the studio to find out more.
I'm here in the studio with Lisa Giles, the Director of Activities for the Virginia High School League Film Festival. Lisa, thank you for being here today.
My pleasure.
So I want to start off with, this is one of the first strictly high school student film festivals in the state. And I kind of want to start off with finding out what it's like to go about planning such a big festival and what you had to do to bring it here to Virginia.
Well, one of the things that we wanted to do when bringing this new activity was to make sure that it was something relevant to students, and what could be more relevant than this 21st century technology that kids are doing already on their own with their cell phones and so forth. What student is not already on YouTube creating videos or on Vine creating videos? And we wanted to harness that creativity and give them a focus for something for them to actually plan for and to a contest that they could enter that could ultimately bring them a state championship. So we looked at what the industry festivals were doing, and we tried to model the high school festival as much as possible after actual industry festivals.
Why do you think it's important for them to start out producing film work in high school as opposed to how it always has been, where they get accepted into a college program and they pursue their film career or ideas in college?
Well, like I said, they're already doing it now. Kids are doing it. I mean, you know, I have nieces and nephews 4 or 5 years old that can do things with computers that I couldn't do when I was that age. The technology is just so much more accessible. And so because it's more accessible, you know, they have the opportunities to utilize that technology and do something productive with it. And surprisingly, a lot of our schools do have television and film production already set up in the schools.
And we actually have some video here. Do you mind explaining what it is that we're looking at?
This is actually a commercial submitted by Chris Seeger of Stonebridge High School, submitted into the commercial PSA film category. And they actually have through April 1st to make their submissions. We don't know if it's been accepted to the festival or not just yet, but that's a sample of the work that kids are doing.
What is the criteria that the students need to apply, and how does it relate to the really big film festivals like Richmond International Film Festival or Sundance?
Well, most of what the students are preparing in terms of the films, such as the narrative and the documentaries, they're going to be shorts. There are time constraints on the different films. The commercials, they have the typical constraints of a 30 or 60 second. So depending on the category that they're entering, of course, there are standard time limits and so forth. But what they're evaluated on, we wanted to make sure that the educational experience was part of it. So when they get their evaluations, they will have actual feedback on sound, lighting, acting, you know, all of it.
So for students who maybe missed out for this round, where can they go to see the film festival and maybe apply for next year?
The film festival is being held right here at VCU on May 29th and 30th in the Academic Learning Commons, and we would love for them to come and watch. And for those who didn't get to submit this year, then next year they can start working on their films as early as August the 1st and submit by April 1st.
Fantastic. I'm here in the studio. I've been speaking with Lisa Giles. Lisa, thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
A hairy exhibition is on display right here in the city of Richmond. The Valentine has paired up with Terry Brown Photography and the RVA Beard League to present Beard Wars, honoring the American Civil War as well as the growing local facial hair culture. Long beards, short beards, brown beards, and even some gray beards made an appearance at the museum last week. Photographs were displayed comparing faces of Civil War generals to those of current League members. Hundreds gathered on opening night to see the free exhibition, which will end on November 30th.
A local soccer player has been recognized as one of the best youth players in America. He was one of a few dozen players nationwide to be invited to an exclusive skills camp in Florida. InSight's Derek Marin has more.
Playing in a World Cup is the ultimate goal for aspiring soccer players. A Richmond native is chasing that dream. Chris Durkin, seen here practicing locally, is one of the top youth soccer players in America. U.S. Soccer invited him to attend a camp in Fort Lauderdale with 35 other athletes. Durkin rated his performance at the camp very well.
Showed really good training habits, and I always treat every single training session like
it's my last one, and I always try and put it out there and really try and separate myself from all the other people.
The camp was made up of players who are in the under 15 age group. These players will make up most of the roster spots for the 2017 Under 17 World Cup in India. Durkin is competing for a spot on that team. Chris plays for the Richmond United Under 16 team. They're part of the Richmond Kickers organization. The 15-year-old also trains with the Richmond Kickers professional team. Richmond United assistant coach Ihor Dotsenko has coached Durkin for 5 years. Dotsenko says Chris possesses all the tools to excel.
We believe that he has the necessary technical abilities, tactical understanding, physical traits to be part of that U17 World Cup team, but it's still a long process.
A process that will be filled with many more goals like this one for his Richmond United team. For VCU InSight, I'm Derek Marion.
Durkin recently signed an amateur contract with the Kickers Pro team. The contract allows him to be called up from his under 16 team to play for the Richmond Kickers. There's a new organization in Richmond dedicated to helping disabled children find new freedom. Some may take riding their bike for granted, but one little guy is just getting the hang of it. InSight's Randy Ayala has more on this story.
Do you need help? No.
Born with a rare spinal defect, Jackson Mackey is paralyzed from the waist down.
He's never let it stop him. He always gets up and goes and tries to do as much as any other 3-year-old would do.
3 isn't the easiest age to have such limited mobility, so his physical therapist referred him to an organization called Reach Cycles. It's a non-profit that gives children bikes specially fitted to their physical needs.
Good job! We didn't even know that you could get a bike like this.
After serving in the military, Reach Cycles president James Howard was injured in a freak accident and became a quadriplegic 6 years ago. This accident is what caused him to receive his first bike at a veterans event.
And it gave me a lot of freedom and mobility, and when I received that bike for the first time, I mean, it just really helped me to make another step in my life to just kind of get over everything.
And that's the step that led James into a life of giving others, just like Jackson, what he once received himself. Not just a bike, but the chance at living a normal life despite his circumstances. Reach Cycles runs entirely on donations, so families don't have to pay a penny.
They did all the work for us. They did fundraising. This has been life-changing. It gave him opportunities that we didn't think he'd be able to have.
So far, Reach Cycles has given out nearly 30 bikes since May, and these kids couldn't be happier.
This kind of opened up a whole new world to him.
A world that now includes a chance for Jackson to be a typical kid. For VCU InSight, I'm Randy Ayala.
While some children are referred by their physical therapists, others can apply online. Reach Cycles will host another fundraiser next month. To find out more, you can visit their website.
And finally tonight, a Richmond tennis coach hopes to serve important lessons to toddlers.
Through her class and new children's book, she teaches the toddlers how to play tennis, while including important life lessons along the way. InSight's Will Gilbert reports.
Melissa McAleese's 5-year-old daughter Megan has a new reason to be excited to wake up for school.
Volleys! Yeah, every day she asks me, do I have tennis today? So she loves it.
Megan has been taking part in local tennis coach Becky Holmes' toddlers and tennis class. Holmes started teaching the class 2 years ago, but recently added a new component to her teaching, a book aimed at the 5 and under set she wrote called Totally Tennis for Me.
I really just wanted to write the book because I thought it would just be a fun tennis story to get kids inspired to get into the sport.
Holmes, who has been playing the sport since she was 4, incorporates her background as an elementary school teacher into her classes.
We learn colors, we learn shapes, we learn numbers, we learn letters and sounds, so it's just combining kind of everything into one class when I teach tennis.
The kids use equipment like this to play what they see as a game, but parents know that they're actually learning life lessons.
I am a tennis player myself, and so I was really hoping she might start learning a little bit of it, but mostly have some fun and get some exercise.
The book tells the story of a preschool girl learning tennis for the first time to make friends and gain confidence. Holmes sees the same progress in the students in her classes.
I not only see them with their tennis skills being increased, but I also just see their confidence getting increased. I've had some kids start my class and they're so shy.
In the midst of a game of snow cones and volleys, that shyness melts away. For VCU InSight, I'm Will Gilbert.
Holmes hopes this inspires other programs around the country and possibly would like to get involved with motivational speaking through sports. I don't know if I would trust a 3-year-old with a tennis racket. I might be a little scared.
Yeah, toddlers with tennis rackets. What could go wrong, Amaya?
Maybe they could hit other children. They could hit me. I just don't know
those
if
kids
I
are
would
adorable,
trust
though.
that. Before we go, we'd like to congratulate our own reporter, Teresa Galasso, who won first place in the Society of Professional Journalists Region 2 Mark of Excellence Award. Congratulations, Teresa. Way to go.
Congratulations, Teresa. That's it for this edition of VCU InSight.
Make sure to check us out online at insight.vcu.edu.
You can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook under VCU InSight. Contact us with any stories you'd like to see on our show.
And if you missed it or you like to watch past shows, we're on YouTube under VCU InSight. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Amaya Ray.
And I'm Sabrina Fuller. We'll see you next time.